press record. And all right, so again, welcome at the two-day hybrid conference for the project Digital Education for All. As I've said, the first day in Czech has already passed, so we're at the second day. Now I should just start the conference a little bit. It's gonna maybe take longer, but we are quite ahead. So let's see if anyone else is going to join us slowly. Then I'm going to kind of invite my project colleagues. And after that, we're going to do some interactive parts. We'll also take a little break. And in the afternoon, you will see the digital skills and tool in education workshop held by me. So feel free to stay for the whole day. But if you just want to see part of the conference, there it is. And if I'm looking at the program correctly, we have actually started earlier. So I'm going to just pause for a minute and wait maybe for more people to come. And then I'll start like the proper introduction about the project at 9:45 as planned. I hope you're okay with it, and I hope you'll stay with me. Okay, it should be all right now. And as I've said, today is the second day of the Digital Education for All hybrid conference. This is the program, so you have joined in for conference and project introduction, and I will do that in a minute. Afterwards, you will see the pre-recorded session of our colleague from Croatia, where he talks about the Educate Me platform, which is one of the project outputs. We will also do a like live tryouts, because he wouldn't be talking for an hour. He will only be talking for a shorter amount of time, but I think we'll manage. Afterwards, we have a short break. Then we will see our project partners, also mainly from pre-recordings, but I also see some of them are logged in here. So maybe we can have a discussion if they all stay. And after lunch, I would like to warmly invite you to my workshop about digital skills and tools in education. I hope it's going to be fun for you, so feel free to join in. And we will conclude the conference at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You can leave and rejoin anytime. The link will be valid through the whole time. Maybe we'll finish a little earlier, but let's see how that goes. So moving on about the project. I've already mentioned this is not just a Czech project, not only from the Palacký University Olomouc, but the project main character or the main responsible people for the project is Udruga Žena from Croatia, which is a non-profit organization dealing with mainly women, and therefore the name Udruga Žena, and mainly unemployed women. And therefore the project's aim was to offer to unemployed women, but in general to all unemployed people, a possibility how to expand their knowledge and skills and kind of develop it, even though they are currently unemployed. And because travel might be complicated for these people, the project is held mainly online, or the results are mainly online. They are also free, so they are easily accessible by a lot of different people. I should also mention our other partners, which is the HZZ Šibenik, the Croatian Labor Office with the regional office in Šibenik, who also helped develop some of the courses for the unemployed people. And then there is the Eurocreator, which are our Polish colleagues, also dealing with adult education. There is us, the Palacký University Olomouc Department of Psychology, with me and my colleagues Marek Kolařík and Martin Seitel as like main characters who also help develop parts of the platform content, and also our colleagues from Slovenia, from Ľudská univerzita Slovenská Bystrica, And I also welcome here, yeah, Daria Kushar. I see you in chat, as well as Milana Pericin from Udruga Žena. So I'm very happy to see you here. The project is actually coming to an end at the end of October, so next week. So this is like one of the final actions from the project. It ran for 2 years. It was funded with the European Commission's help, so from the Erasmus Plus program, and with the help of the Agency for Mobility, so the Croatian agency. There is the total value, but I would say never mind the money. Let's talk more about the project results or outputs. So what was it good for? Well, the main results were the 10 online courses, each offered in 5 languages. So Czech, English, Slovenian, Croatian, and Polish. And the online courses, we'll get to those in a minute, and we'll also have a whole time allocated in the program for the colleagues to introduce the courses a bit more. Also, there is the possibility for a virtual internship for people taking part in the courses via our platform. And the person you have just seen is the head of our department, just coming through, but also taking part in here. Well, back to the project results. So there are the 10 courses. There is the possibility of virtual internship in partner organization upon completing the courses. There is also the user manual, which is handy for the main result. That is the educational platform educate/me.eu. I should place a disclaimer here that all of the project outputs are just the responsibility of the authors, meaning us, and that the European Commission is and shouldn't be held responsible for any use made of the information contained therein. So just to make the formalities well. And this is the link for the platform. As I've already mentioned, the platform is free. Feel free to register there. You can choose from the 5 languages I have just mentioned. So it's not just about the courses being there in 5 languages, but the whole platform is actually in 5 language mutations, which I think makes it internationally more accessible. And as for the courses that you will find there, you will see that there are communication skills, active listening, basic English, which is actually the only course offered only in English for, well, obvious reasons. Then fundamentals of informatics, skills needed in the labor market, online job search, cybersecurity, e-citizen, project thinking, and the development and implementation of non-institutional social services. You will have the opportunity to hear about the courses around, let me just check, 11:15, when I'll be having the pre-recorded sessions from our project partners. And as for now, thank you again for joining us. And I think we can check the platform educateme.eu with the help of my colleague Spiro Krasic, who also has made a recording because he won't be able to attend in person. So let me just switch. I will stop sharing the presentation for a little bit. And now you should be able to mainly see me in a very many forms, let's say. So let me just put on the recording, and I hope everything is going to work. If not, let me know, mainly because of the sound. We might need to enable some settings, so I hope we'll figure it out. This is it, basically. And I will also try to share my screen with you so that you'll see the recording and hopefully hear that. Okay. Well, let me know if you have troubles with the sound, okay? And now I will.
Platform is free for use and publicly available at status educate-me.eu. There is available in 5 languages: English, Croatian, Slovenian, Czech, and Polish. Through the platform, users are already identified language communication skills, effortless, basic English, basics of IT, skills needed in the labor market, how to look for a job opening, cybersecurity, e-citizen, projecting, and development and implementation of institutional services. Language selection page the user by starting the app. Language is selected by clicking flag, country, language. User interface of the app and all the content contained in the app will be displayed in the language you selected here. Once the selection is made, clicking the button. For personal information and your personal information, your last name, and your date of birth. Therefore, you use information for verification and to identify your next time through this certification. Please make sure to provide the correct personal information. Once you fill out all the information, submit the form and clicking the submit button.
Let me just pause the video for a minute. I will try to do something with the sound because I got a message in chat that it's not very well audible. So let's see if I can do something with it. So maybe if I try this one, I hope it's going to be better. Let's see.
Next week, the development is sign out, yeah.
Okay, didn't help. I'll try a next speaker or headphones. Let's see whether that helps. And okay, let's see now.
It's not possible to retake the initial test once you have already completed it. If you have completed the initial test, the courses page will display all 10 online courses which you can attend. The courses listed are ordered in such a way that the first course in the list is the most suitable for you, while the last course is the least suitable for you. All listed courses are categorized into one of the following categories. You should definitely take these courses lists all courses for which you had none or one correct answer in the initial test. You should probably take these courses lists all courses for which you had 2 or 3 correct answers in the initial test. You don't need to take these courses lists all courses for which you had 4 or 5 correct answers in the initial test. If the course is not completed, you can take the course by selecting the Start Course action next to it. Once the course is started, you can read more about the online course by selecting the Course Details button. In each course, you have 3 learning options. Reading. If chosen, a PDF document is displayed in the pop-up window. Watching. If chosen, a YouTube video is displayed in the pop-up window. Interaction. If chosen, a genially interactive presentation is displayed in the pop-up window. Once you've finished learning, you start the course final test by pressing the Take the Test button at the bottom of the course page. The final test consists of 10 questions, and you must answer each one. Only one of the offered answers is correct. To pass the test, you need at least 7 correct answers. Once you pass the final test for any course, its status would change to completed. If the course is completed, you can download the course confirmation of completion by selecting the Download Confirmation action next to it. The online internships page lists only the courses for which you have successfully completed the final test. Courses listed here are the ones for which you can attend online internship. Courses may have 3 different statuses assigned to them. Not started are the courses you still haven't selected the organization to conduct your online internship at. You can select an internship organization by clicking the Select Internship action next to it. In progress are the courses for which you already selected the internship organization to conduct your online internship at. By clicking the View Details action next to it, a pop-up window will open containing the details of selected internship organization. Completed are the courses for which you have successfully completed an online internship within the organization you previously selected. The internship is completed once your mentor marks your internship as finished. At that point, you are still not allowed to download your certificate of completion, since you also need to enter your feedback about the internship. You will notice a Leave Feedback action next to those courses. By clicking the Leave Feedback action next to it, a pop-up window will open where you will be asked to enter your feedback. Once your feedback has been saved, you will be allowed to get your certificate for the corresponding courses. Next to those courses, a Get Certificate action is now available for you to take. By clicking it, you will be taken to Certificates page where you will have an option to download your certificate. If you have completed 1 or more online internships, the corresponding courses would be listed in the Certificates page. You can download the certificate of completion by clicking the Download Certificate action next to each course listed. Please note, you are allowed to download the certificate only of those courses for which the online internship is completed and you left your feedback about. Therefore, only those courses are listed here. Job Suggestions page is displayed when the Job Suggestions item is chosen from the main menu. The Holland Occupational Themes is a theory of personality that focuses on career and vocational choice. It groups people based on their suitability for 6 different categories of occupation. The 6 types yield the RISAC acronym, by which the theory is also commonly known. Job Suggestions questionnaire is not mandatory to take in this app. It is designed and offered to the users of this learning platform as an additional value. To start the questionnaire, press the Start the Questionnaire button. After the questionnaire has been submitted, you will receive your 3-letter RAISEC result. By pressing the Characteristics and Careers buttons next to each category, you can learn more about the personality characteristics, enjoyable activities, and careers suitable for the people belonging to those categories. The end. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you happy learning with educateme.eu learning platform. Goodbye.
Well, all right. Thank you for helping me with the settings. I hope I have found out a way how to do that. Maybe if you try to listen to my colleague, and due to the sound quality for those listening online at the beginning, let me just take you through the platform myself. I will just post a little print screen so that I have the proof that we actually did it. And let me now maybe share my browser and also share the educateme.eu link with you so you can join in. So I will post it in the chat so that you can log in if you would like to and do this with me. And I will take you through the platform and its various possibilities. And as said, you can join in by clicking on the link. I will just, let me share my screen, and this time I will share my my browser. Yeah, right there. So now you should be able to see my browser, right? I hope you do. Let me see whether I'll see someone in chat. Okay, yeah, you can. Great, it's great. So just a little print screen for myself again. And so this is the main page of the Educate Me website, which if you are following me right now, you will be seeing as well. Here, as my colleague said, you should be able to see the languages. You can do it in Czech as well. It's going to be quite similar, just in Czech, but we're going to do this in English because this is an English session. So if you click on English and then click on Continue, it will take you automatically to the login page. You will see the project logos. You will also have the opportunity to read a bit more about the project, but we're not doing it now because you have been here for the introduction. So you can do it in quiet if you so like. Here you can fill out your name, last name, and the date of birth. This is the only information we will require from you if you would like to take part in the platform and in the recordings. You can use diacritics, meaning in Czech, háčky and čárky. It should be able to manage it. Just remember the correct form or the form of the name you have input in there for the first time, because each time you log out of the platform and you log back in, it takes you back to the last point that you have left, but you really need to put your name in the same form. Otherwise, the system might think you are like two different people, which is not, well, that's what we really want. So I wouldn't put in my credentials right now just for, safety purposes, but I did it in the second window, kind of. So once you logged in for the first time, this is the first page you're going to see. You will see the Educate Me logo, and here you will again have the possibility to read more about the project. What's also interesting is the option of help. So at each page, at each tab, if you click Need Help, something like this will be displayed. So a little help page, which explains the basic functions of the page. And I think it's kind of user-friendly. And of course, if you would like to sign out, you can always click in here and the next user can join. Also, before I move further, I would also like to introduce you to this little widget, which is called the accessibility menu. And let me just click on that because I'm not sure whether all of you are familiar with it. It is not of our doing. This is a widget available for any website, and it should actually be mandatory on like public sites because it helps people with seeing disabilities or learning disabilities to access the contents of the web page better. You could also read about how this widget works in this menu, but we're not going to do this now. You can also have it in oversize, which I think it's quite nice. But let me do it in the regular size as for now. So you will adjust the page by clicking each of these tabs. With each click, you will set a different setting. And if you click long enough, you will come back to like the default setting at the beginning. So if I'm going to click on contrast, I can have inverted colors. If I click again, I might see a dark contrast. If I click again, there is the light contrast, so the colors have disappeared. And by clicking for the fourth time, you will see the original layout of the page. A similar feature goes with links highlight. So if you would like to see the menus that take you somewhere else, so with a hyperlink, you can see it by clicking on highlight links. You can also adjust the text size, not only within your browser, but also with the use of this widget. So if I just click long enough, it's bigger and bigger and bigger. And by clicking again, it's back to the default. You can adjust the text spacing, light spacing, moderate, and heavy spacing. This might be useful for people with like reading disabilities who might need more spaces between the letters to read. If we had any animations on this page, which we don't right now, you can pause the animations so that they don't disturb you. You can also hide images. You can see the logos have disappeared from our page and they can appear again. So you can play with this a little, but again, on our website, we don't have that many images, so I'm not sure it's going to be that useful for you. If I go down, let me just switch it here. You can display the page in a dyslexia-friendly way, meaning that like writing the script changes a little bit with like legible fonts, stuff like that. But I think we have chosen a font which should be legible for most people. We were kind of going for that from the beginning. You can also do stuff with the cursor, either have a big cursor by clicking on this button, or you can see a reading mask, which might help you to keep better track on where you're at the page. I think it's very, very nice. Or you can have a reading guide helping you track on the row you're at. Again, very friendly for people with dyslexia and troubles in reading. So let me click back. You'll also see some tooltips if we had that option on there, but we don't have that many tools in here. So let me switch to the line height. You can see you can adjust the spacing between the lines, and definitely you can combine the options with each other. So adjusting the spacing with the reading mask or reading guide as you wish, as it's comfortable for you. You can also change the alignment of the text. If you don't like it aligned on the middle, you can align it to basically as in Microsoft Word, if you're familiar with that. And last but not least, you can change the saturation, a little bit something like the contrast at the beginning. But I will leave it this way. Of course, if you would like to reset all settings, you can do it here. And if you would like to move the widget, that is also possible. And we could hide. So for now, let me close that. So the accessibility widget you will see on all tabs on our website. But again, it's not really our doing. I just like the functions very much, and I would like also you to get familiar with this widget if you haven't seen it yet. Well, back to the site. So this is the initial test. If you were curious enough during the time I was talking and you're on the same page as me, you have probably started the initial test already. I wouldn't do that. I want to, well, leave you at peace with it and also leave it as a little surprise if you actually decide to join our web page, which I encourage you to do. But you will find there about 50 questions. And once you have completed these questions, then the courses which are presented on the next step will be offered to you. But unless you do this initial test, if you click, well, basically anywhere else in the platform, you won't see too many interesting things in there, because there is a certain workflow that that has a logic in it that we would like you to follow, and therefore they don't, work unless you take the initial test. The only exceptions out of this are the user manual, because should you need help, you can download it as a PDF. There is also the like a shorter version of the manual. There is the About the Platform tab, which presents you with the same information I just did, basically, and that I also do. There is also the workflow I was talking about, displayed here in the picture, which you can hide with the little widget if you would like so. And the only thing that is kind of out of this workflow is the job suggestions tab. So let me just switch to here for a little bit, because this is a voluntary part. You can take this if you would like to know more about yourself and about possible jobs that might be good for you, dependent on your characteristics. But again, it's optional. You don't have to. I won't start the questionnaire. Again, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but I will switch to another tab of like a different participant just to show you how it looks like once you take the test. This is the Holland Occupational Themes test, which is built upon John Holland's theory of personality. He developed it in the 50s, but it's still a state-of-the-art way in the work and organizational psychology nowadays, and it helps you determine some suitable jobs or occupations for you. It does so by you answering, again, a series of yes-no questions, and based upon your answers, you will get a 3-letter code from some of these letters. So R, I, A, S, E, or C. RIASEC is an acronym by which each letter stands for a different personality trait. So let me switch for a short time to here. So let's pretend we are a participant who has already taken this test, and the results might look something like this. So you can now see that R stands for realistic, I stands for investigative, A is for artistic, S is social, E is enterprising, and C is conventional. These are the 3 main or most profound characteristics of our virtual participants. So A is C, displayed here in colors, and the progress bar shows how much displayed the characteristics are in your personality based on your answers. You can click through the characteristics of the colorful ones, but you can also see the characteristics of the other 3 traits you might have not as profound as with the others. So after you click on characteristics, you might see something like this. Again, I'll leave you to it if you would like to take the test, to read through it at your own pace. The more interesting stuff, I think, is the career options. Here are at least just some of those. There are much more or many more. If you click on this link below, we try to kind of make the list accessible not only to like people with university education, but mainly to our target group, which are long-term unemployed people, maybe with lower than university education. So it's not just, you know, jobs require higher education, but also jobs that might be suitable for our participants who logged into our platform. So this is the job suggestion page. I will stay here with our virtual participant and show you the other tabs because our participant has already completed the initial test. So once you complete the initial test and sign in back to the page, you will see this web page instead of the one I have showed you before. And you can only take the initial test once, again, for obvious reasons. But then you can see the courses either by clicking on the button here or just going to the courses tab. And it might look something like this. So on the courses page, the courses will be listed based on your answers from the initial test. Depending on how many answers you got right or wrong, the courses will be suggested to you as something you should definitely take, something you should probably take, and something you maybe don't need to take, but you still can. You will also see that the courses are here displayed in two different colors. The white ones are for the ones you didn't take yet or not completed yet. And the green ones here are the completed ones from our virtual participant. Now, if you have completed any course, you will see the possibility to download the confirmation of course completion, something like a certificate in here. And it's going to take you to the certificates web page also. But you can just click on here and a PDF will download to your computer with your name and the name of the course you have successfully completed. If you would like to start a course, you can just click on Start a Course, and you will see the course main page. I'll show you that on the active listening course, which is actually one of our courses. So if you choose to see the video, you will see me there. Apology for any inconsistencies you might encounter. Sometimes, you know, it's weird to talk in a video and not sound like a robot. So I hope it's going to be like manageable for yourself. But in any ways, you have 3 different options how to take the course. And these options are the same for each of the course. They do not vary in the content. So the amount of information is more or less the same with each mode of presentation, but you can choose the way you would like to absorb the content or what you feel it's best for you. So you can either choose to read a PDF file, which is about 20-30 pages long, and it's just, you know, simple reading. You can watch a video recording of the course. Again, this one by me, but with other courses, it might be our other colleagues. Or the most interesting part, I think, is choosing the interactive presentation. And a little spoiler, the interactive presentation actually contains like practice questions, so you can check your knowledge while you are learning. I think this is an excellent way to learn and to see and check regularly whether you have like understood everything or whether there are just some little misunderstandings. Because at the end of each course, you would need to take the final test. And from the final test, you would have to score at least 7 out of 10 points. So at least 7 answers correct. And if you do that, you will get the certificate of completion of the course. If you don't, you will get the suggestion to retake the course, and that's very advisable as well. Some things I didn't say yet. you could see for each course the course details by clicking in here, and you will see an information like that with a course title, the organization responsible for making the course, and a short course description with its content and additional information. You will also see the expected duration of the course, but don't, take it like for granted. You might be used to a different pace of reading or listening. So this is just a rough estimate. If you go, let's say, kind of slowlier, you might be finished earlier with that. And also the YouTube videos are about an hour long, so it's not so painful, I would say. For some courses, you will also find some supplementary materials, as it's the PDF file in here. Again, it is not mandatory to read through this, but it is rather an expansion of some things mentioned within the course, and I would recommend reading this as well if you're curious about the content. So let me get back to the courses, or better yet, let me move on to the online internships, which is, again, not mandatory for the course completion. You will get the confirmation once you finish the final test. But if you would like so, then after you have completed a course and finished the final test, you can sign up for a virtual internship. In here, at our virtual participant site, you see that he or she has completed these 4 courses, and they didn't start an internship for these courses yet. So you can select an internship by clicking on this, which is going to be specific for the course you have taken, and you can select an internship organization. You can go through the organizations and always view the internship details, like the organization details, its description, the contact, and the details about the contents of the internship offered for like each course. And again, I won't read through it, but you can do it yourself if you wish so. So the basic idea is, if you would like to gain some virtual practice, because it probably wouldn't be practical for you to travel a long way. These are organizations from the Czech Republic, Poland, Slovenia, and Croatia, including us and our partners. But you can complete a virtual internship where you should further practice and develop your skills gained within the course. And upon completing this internship, the duration of which you will either see in the internship details, or you will agree upon this with the internship mentor, whose contact info you will find in the details. So upon completing this, you will get another certificate confirming your participation in the virtual internship. I won't sign up for an internship yet, but I will take you to the certificates page, where if you had completed the online internships and have left the feedback for those, you will see the possibility to, again, download the certificate in here. Or if you have completed the internship, but you didn't leave the feedback yet, there will be a button to tell you that you should leave your feedback, or that some of your internships still await your feedback, and then you will be able to download the certificate for that. So I think this is it for the walkthrough the platform. Do you have any questions? If yes, don't be afraid to ask. I will open my chat right now. Anything you would like to know about the project or about the internship? I'll take a look if there are any questions in chat, or if anyone is raising their hands. I don't see anyone yet. Okay. Well then, if there are no questions from you as for right now, then maybe let us take a little break. We are a bit ahead of the schedule, but I assume it's going to be like that because when we put up the program for the conference, we weren't sure of how long we're actually going to need to introduce you to our platform. So there is time, and there's also the time for you to ask questions if you had some. But since you don't, then I will stop my screen sharing for a little bit, like that. And we will take a little break. And I mean, the break was planned for 11 to 11:15. I think we can have the break and start at 11:15, so in 45 minutes. But if you would like to hear something more about the project, or if you're interested in anything else, feel free to ask. I will be here. I will just mute myself for a little bit, but I'm still here for any questions if you should have these. But for now, thank you for listening, and please join in after the break at 11:15, and we'll rejoin. All right, so that we don't have, because we'll still have a little bit of time, I would just like to entertain you with how our project went, because as I said, it took us 2 years nearly. We needed to make some changes and adjustment, and I would just like to show you some pictures documenting all the stuff we did, because we communicated mainly online, so via Zoom. So the initial contact was virtual, because we have also started when COVID was still a thing. So the dealings and the administrative stuff was a little harder on us. We have planned to meet actually in person in, I guess, Drniš or Šibenik at that time, but because it was winter and as said, COVID was still on the run, we had to do it via Zoom. But we managed to meet in person in spring of, oh my God, it's 2002, I guess now. It was the 2 years of my life as for now, so it seems like a long time ago, but no, it was actually 2002. And we met here in Olomouc in the premises of Palacký University Olomouc, the Department of Psychology. So this is us, the colleagues from Slovenia, Croatia, Poland, and us with my colleague Marek Kolářík. We also had some online participants in there, and we tried to kind of put together a general idea on how to deal with the courses so that it's accessible to participants, so that it's also very user-friendly, so that we offer multiple methods of how to take the course, but also stay, user-friendly also to those participants who don't use computer that much or are not so, let's say, digitally literate. I will talk about it in my workshop in the afternoon as well. So the point of this 2-day meeting in the beautiful city of Olomouc was to basically establish a common base on, for example, how to do the interactive presentations and not overdo it, how to do the other parts, how long the materials should be so that they are not like overbearing. So we actually have some course participants and stuff like that. Upon that, some time has passed, and in the September of 2002, we took a learning, training, and teaching activity in Šibenik. So we were finally able to travel. again, and had a huge international meeting where we also took the target group from each of our country, so mainly women or long-term unemployed people, to test the first versions of our courses and our platform, and to receive feedback from them regarding what needs to be like made better or just adjusted so that it suits their needs. We also tested the functionalities of the platform or on different devices. So we had the notebooks. We also had tablets. Some of us used smartphones so that we could check, for any bugs in displaying. And if you have ever tested a web platform, you probably know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, there are differences when you use like different browsers or different devices. And we wanted to kind of make this perfect, or at least as good as possible before we launch the platform at a bigger scale. We came up with I don't want to say quite a lot of bugs, but tips for improvement, which could be done better. We also gained some tips on the courses offered and the types of materials and what is and it's not comfortable for the users, meaning our target group. So all in all, I think it was a very successful blended mobility, the meeting. I kept the presentation in Croatian. I'm sorry I didn't translate it. I wasn't sure how much time we're gonna get today, but yeah, let me just skip some more pictures so that you can see us actually working on it. Again, this is still from the blended mobility from Šibenik. We also discussed, further steps, checked upon other things promised within the project. If you were ever part of the project, you probably know what this entails. And if you weren't, there is a course on our platform on project thinking. So you can check out that course and look for what project thinking entails and what parts it has and what needs to be analyzed beforehand and monitored during and after the activities and after the project is over. So you can get familiar with this as well. We also used it for socializing and social exchange, probably, because what better ways to learn from each other than, upon food there is. Then we also had another international meeting in Krakow in Poland. So we kind of switch the countries. And again, the advances in the project were discussed, and we also get to know each other's cultures. So again, just some pictures from our meeting. We try to implement all of the notes and feedback and just general discussions from our target group and participants from the blended mobility into the platform and the courses. So that's why the meeting was held so close to one another at that part. And then we took some time to kind of improve all the courses and finish it and come up with a much more improved version of the platform with some advanced built-in features. And I mean, there still might be some bugs in it. So if you recognize some of those, in 5 languages, accidents happen, there might be some. So if you recognize any, inconsistencies or anything that doesn't work the way you suppose it should, feel free to contact me or anyone from our colleagues. But you can definitely send me an email at lucie.viktorova@upol.cz. I will probably share my email with you a little later. So, as I said, some time has passed and we have met in Slovenská Bystrica in Slovenia with nearing the end of the project. So checking what works and what still needs to be improved. As you can see, we had like the general layout of the platform, the new version with the implemented feedback from our participants. We were hard at work. I hope it's confirmed that. We also had and still have some flyers. So if you would like those and share that at your departments and organizations and institutions, again, feel free to contact me, and we can distribute those either digitally or printed out. And then the final meeting was held in Drniš, in the iLab space of our Croatian colleagues. And just an interesting note, the iLab space is actually a learning environment, a special learning environment, which we also have here at the Palacký University. So if you're ever in Olomouc, or if you're here right now, you can come and visit us. We do held some workshops in there, as do our colleagues in their respective iLabs. And as you can see, it's more like an informal room with chairs and just little tables you can move around, equipped with, I would say, a lot of digital technology, but its purpose is to make you feel comfortable and kind of relaxed, because that helps your learning as well. My colleagues, as well as we, had a lot of workshops in our respective iLab spaces, and these were like in small groups, but very interactive. You can use a lot of those digital tools for that. And again, in the afternoon, I will be talking about some of the digital tools you might find useful either for yourself and your own learning, but also if you should ever prepare a workshop or presentation for anyone else and you would like it to be more interactive, then don't be afraid to join me also in the afternoon after lunch. And yeah, here are some more pictures from the like final meeting in Drniš. And right now we are practically nearing the end of the project. As I said, it is due to end next week. We had a lot of things to still do and finish. So yeah, that was our nightmare tables, but nowadays it looks quite completed, and I'm so happy. So the conference you are at right now is one of the like series of conferences as the final outputs, or better to say, a dissemination event of our like 2 years project. So our colleagues in Slovenia held their conference last week. The Croatian colleagues held this Monday and Tuesday. If you want to join, there is still the conference from the Polish partners. If you would like an invite to that, again, write me an email. I'll send you this. You can also find it on our Facebook website. So if you go on Facebook and you put in Digital Education for All Erasmus Plus project, you might find our website with our nice logo. And for that, I'll just switch the presentations. So let me just switch it to this one. Did I close it? Oh, yeah, that one. So again, if you see the Digital Education for All logo at the presentation and at the Facebook website, you are at the right place. And you will also see the invite for the Polish conference, which will be wrapping up our 2-year endeavor at the Digital Education for All project. So don't be afraid to spread the word. We still need people to join in at the educate.me.eu platform, and feel free to join in yourself as well. So I will again pause my recording for a bit, and if you are still on a break, because as you can see, we officially should be starting at 11:15. You can still enjoy a little break, but I was thinking that you know, since we've had some time, that I would introduce you to some more of what was going on during the project. So we'll be back at around 11:15. So again, as you might have noticed, these were the pre-recordings introducing some of the courses offered on our platform, but it's not all of those. So let me now shortly introduce the courses developed by Hazard Šibeniek. And for that, I will just need to switch my screen and share this with you. I hope you're able to see that. I won't do it in a presentation mode. I didn't like prepare it in terms like my colleagues did. I wanted this to be a little more lively, let's call it like that. So the two courses that we didn't talk about yet are the skills needed in the labor market and how to look for a job via the internet. I hope you're able to see that. Both of them are created by the Croatian Employment Service, and the colleagues from that service are unfortunately not able to participate in our conference because, well, they're busy helping unemployed people. But let's talk about their courses. So the skills needed in the labor market include these 6 chapters. And basically, it's like the basics that you should know if you are searching for a job, applying for a job, and preparing for a job interview. So in the first chapter, in the introduction, you will just see that, you know, job hunting is actually a full-time job on itself, and you should be prepared to access this like actively. Because if you would only hope the job will come to you in some way, you might wait for a long time. There is also some advice what to do when looking for a job. For example, how to write an application, how to write your resume, your CV, and how to prepare for the job interview. There are some tips on self-assessment, like how do you find out what your skills are or what your personality is. It also kind of, you know, crosses over with the Holland's test on our platform, but you will find more information about where to look if you want to like look into yourself in here as well. Then if we look at the 4th chapter, there are some like useful tips on how to write your CV or a resume. It depends on the language you're going to use. Okay, let me check. Here are, for example, some like standard parts of every CV. You can see every CV usually contains some personal data, but not all of them, and you will be also made aware of that within this course. Then your education and further education, like more informal one, work experience, additional knowledge and skills. Sometimes people also include hobbies in there to make themselves like more relatable. Prizes and awards, especially if you don't have that much work experience yet, especially if you're like young adult who is looking for a job for their first time. You can include such accomplishments in your resume as well. Then the interest and activities and recommendations, meaning recommendations from people who had worked with you previously, colleagues or supervisors with their contacts, because personalists, like people doing the personal selection for a company, also like to look for references, and they like to contact your previous employers and people you have worked with, so that they see how you're like, or that they hear it from, you know, someone else. So these are some tips on that, and also how to write a cover letter. Again, let me just switch to, well, not that slide, maybe this one. This is just like a basic structure of a cover letter with your address and contact information on the top, then the person you're addressing, the place and date, then the text itself, your signature, and any attachments if you would like so. So in this course, you will actually learn how to put your resume together with some useful tips on what to avoid and what to go for. And the last chapter, as promised, is about the job interview and how to prepare for that and not underestimate it, starting with how you look, how you dress, but also not to arrive too late or too early to a job interview. So a lot of useful information in there. And let me also switch to the second part. Just, sorry, I also need to make print screens so that we have proof that we've done it. So just a quick switch. And then I will share the second course, which is how to look for a job via the internet. Let me do that. Again, developed by Croatian Employment Service. And this time it focuses more on, you know, the first part of the looking for the job process. And it gives some tips on how to do it online or with, you know, some digital means. Okay, I'll keep it like this so you can actually see it. Maybe make it a little bigger. So in this course, you will learn more about the characteristics of the labor market, like what jobs are the most sought of as for today, what skills are usually required by today's employers. Also some like European measures to encourage employment. So also like some theoretical stuff like that. You will learn about the EURES platform, which is very interesting. It can help you find your job internationally. So definitely something to check out if you would like to work in the Europe. Then some basic tips on online job search. Also some tips on electronic communication in job search. I would recommend also taking the basics of IT course if you would like to learn more about, sorry, electronic communications and emails, and maybe also some of the courses from Eurocreator about e-citizenship and cybersecurity. It's, you know, it's all interconnected. But anyway, electronic communication in job search and how to protect yourself in online job search, and then just some, you know, final tips. Again, sorry, just a little print screen. So the first chapter kind of introduces you to looking for a job online. You will be also like guided through something that you should realize before you look for a job online. For example, what kind of job you would like to do, what skills do you already have, what jobs would you not like to do. Again, the Holland test might help you with deciding that. So take the RIASEC test in our platform. Then you would learn about the characteristics of the labor market. You will learn what white jobs are, green jobs are, and what are the jobs in line with the national and European development strategy. So if you want to go a little ahead, definitely check this course. You will also learn about some measures to encourage employment and the EURES platform, which is, again, a European site for people looking for a job and companies offering a job. You can see some statistics in here. So check this out if you're interested in, like, you know, mobility across Europe at the job market. There are also some tips for online job search, such as, you know, some links to job search portals for different countries. Just a reminder, if you would look for that in like the respective language versions, you might see some adjustments to this presentation based on the like context of the country this is in. There is also the tips on electronic communication in online job search. For example, you know, how to write an email just that it's not too long, but that can accompany your CV and other materials in the attachment. So a lot of tips on that. Then how to protect yourself in the online job search. And again, check the cyber security course as well. I think it might come in very handy. And some, conclusion tips on what's good to do when you search for a job online. So looking at the time, we are nearing the lunch, so our 1 hour break. But if you have any questions to any of the courses, now is the right time to ask. And I will look for the chat for that measure. Can I choose? No questions in here from the audience. Okay. No questions in the chat either. So, okay, if you don't have any questions, then let me just switch back to the program and let me share that. It's gonna take me a little while. Oh my God, that's what happens if you have too many screens open. Yeah. So according to the program, you can now enjoy the lunch. So if you're here, you will see the opportunities for lunch in the next room. I will guide you there. And if you're not here in person and you're checking us online, enjoy your lunch, however you take it or make it. And hopefully see you at 1:30, so 13:30, at the workshop about digital skills and tools in education held by myself. So I will switch off my my microphone now. I will also switch off my video, but the link stays open. The Zoom stays open. I will just pause the recording, and we will resume recording and the conference in the afternoon. So see you hopefully in the afternoon. So we started recording again. Thank you for joining me for the workshop on digital skills and tool in education. And let's dive right in. Let's start with a little brainstorming. So if you're online, you can go to www.menti.com. If you're here, you can put it in your respective electronic device and enter the code 1957-6662. And I will check and maybe switch the sharing to, will be so much better if I could share like my whole screen. But yeah, let me just switch to this. And there, a question will be awaiting for you. What knowledge, skills, and abilities do people need in the labor market right now? So feel free to share any ideas, and we'll look how that's going to turn out. Okay. I see intelligence. You can also put in more things. Also, multiple responses are possible. All right, a little bit more. Okay, communication skills, soft skills in general, right? How to treat people, it's a good skill. Presentation skills, yeah. Stress resistance also quite good, quite comes in handy. Okay, I'll wait a bit if more ideas will come and appear. All right, mindfulness. Okay. Right. I'm just checking whether there are more people joining in, but maybe not. So just All right, now still changing. Okay. All right then. Okay, so then let me ask you another question. Still on Menti. What knowledge, skills, and abilities will people need in 10 years on the labor market? Probably takes some thinking. Right? There are some first thoughts. Okay, how to work with new technology, stress handling, soft skills still, all right. Fast adaptation, flexibility, all right. Prompt engineering, oh, we'll get to that. We'll actually get to that in a minute. Critical thinking, using AI as a work tool, definitely. Some interconnections and multidisciplinary thinking, definitely. I'll just check if there's some more responses. All right, I mean, feel free to enter any more you wish, and I will switch back to my presentation. So, first of all, if we switch, first of all, because this is a workshop also on digital tools. So one of those tools is actually the Mentimeter itself, the one that you have just entered your responses in. And the free version enables only a limited amount of quizzes and slides, which for me is a pity. It only allows for like 2 slides, but it actually has quite a lot of like different possibilities on how to use these slides, and we can show this to ourselves and each other. I will do a lot of screen switching today, but never mind. So if I close voting for now on this platform, and we'll take a step back, I will show you how the Mentimeter actually looks like from the like user point of view if you're preparing something. So it looks like this. You can also evaluate today's presentation, but you as a signed up user might have the ability to create a lot of presentations. If you choose to create, for example, a new presentation, there are a number of options from which you can choose. You can either choose a specific template if you want, a nice background. Some of them have also some like prepared types of questions. I like to start with blank, but that's just a personal option. You can also choose the type of content when doing this. So you need to add a new slide first, and then you'll see you can either use it as basically a voting machine, so with a multiple choice, or the word cloud that we just did, which is nice for brainstorming ideas. If you assume that word clouds won't be as good, but you still need like open-ended questions, this possibility is there. You can also use scales, which are quite nice. For example, how much you agree with something. There's also the ranking option. So like rank your favorite, I don't know, digital tools, maybe. If we put it in there, we could do a voting on that, and then just questions and answers. There are many more options. I just didn't use them all, but you can definitely sign up for Mentimeter for free and try the different options with your own audience. It's actually a platform where you can create a whole presentation, but as I said, not in the free version. You would have to sign up for the paid one. But as a tool that combines quite a lot of things in one place, I think it's quite nice. It also has a nice workspace on its own. So if you just go to the home page, it also looks like that. Nice visual, I would say, and it's quite user-friendly. It also sends you your results. It doesn't delete them automatically, it stores them, so you can use it for further work in the classroom. So that would be Mentimeter itself. And let me again switch to my presentation. So this was Mentimeter with their options. And to the questions itself for the skills, the point is, I mean, this is a conference about like digital education for all, and especially for unemployed people. And when talking about education and employment, people usually tend to limit their thinking to here and now, which if you're just about to finish school, or you have finished school a while ago and now you're looking for a job, is the point of view you might want to take. But if we are talking about, the future and maybe educating the future generations for the future labor market, it's actually good to try to think forward, because what's quite typical are some trends in nowadays society. And that is, for example, the use of digital technology in everyday life. So it's not just the social media, it's the pervasiveness of digital technology. I mean, not just smartphones, but even like mobile banking. We now pay our bills without using actual money, sometimes even without using actual phone or credit cards. You can pay with your watch. It functions as a little mobile phone on its own. We even have like digital vacuum cleaners, which is, it starts to be crazy, but it gets crazier. So if we look further, there are huge developments in artificial intelligence, and you've actually tapped into that with the responses. So this leads to things that some professions will vanish and some new professions will emerge. And information actually becomes a commodity that's going to be needed to be treated carefully. And you would need to know how to treat information. So just to stick a bit with the professions, I found it quite interesting. And for that, again, I will switch to the browser. I would like to play you a short video just to get an image of what does it mean if the labor market changes. I hope the sound will stay okay. Just let's see. But in this one, the sound isn't as necessary. Just watch and let it impress you. Yeah, I don't know how about you. For me, it looks kind of scary sometimes. And there is actually a site, Will Robots Take My Job, which you can check. It is willrobotstakemyjob.com. And it's quite interesting. I'm not really sure what algorithm it runs on, but it actually calculates the probability of what jobs might be replaced by robots or by just, mechanical things. You can either, show a random example or look for some most searched. I was interested in teachers. I'm not really like post-secondary teachers. Let's look at those. Okay, the automation risk is actually quite low. I think teachers might be quite safe, although there is maybe a shift to whether the teaching will take place also hybrid as we do right now or just online. But yeah, there are also some interesting statistics on the jobs. We can also try, another one. Like I was always interested in psychologists, like school psychologists. Let's try that. Okay, also quite a low risk. So I'm not sure about you, but I will keep my fingers crossed that my profession will remain secure. But if you look at some professions that are more repetitive in nature, we can take a look at lawyers. I think this was one of those, okay, still low level, all right. But let's look at accountants and auditors. Because their job is, mostly doing a lot of similar tasks with a lot of like clear rules to go by, it can actually be probably more easily replaced than the like creative or more creative jobs. So also there is the part where human error comes also in play, which might be eliminated if you let a computer run, for example, an audit. Of course, it's not as simple. You will need somebody to program the computers. And that actually brings me not only for like some professions disappearing, but some new professions reappearing in the future. And so if you Google like future professions or labor market in 10 years, you will come across a number of sites with the ideas of maybe the careers of the future, like 3D printing, Internet of Things, user experience, definitely in digital marketing. So it has a lot to do with the advances in digital technology, app development, sure, robotics, cybersecurity. And just a reminder, you can take a course on cybersecurity on our Educate Me platform. Just as a start, data science, something with artificial intelligence and deep learning. But it's not just that. There was also the prompt engineer that you have mentioned in our little brainstorming. There are also like software developers, but creators and advisor to creators, okay, online teachers, coaches, personal trainers, community manager, nice thing, didn't know that exists, environmental engineer that has to do something with the green jobs we have mentioned in the introduction to some of the courses offered at our platform, hospital engineer, waste manager, because people are nowadays producing a lot of waste. So definitely 3D architect and engineers, wearables developer, and a lot more. You can see, innovation manager, geneticist, talents manager, e-commerce specialist, mental health professionals, and a lot more. So I think it's good to go through some of these pages and just, get the idea what might be the useful skills, because these professions are on the run, basically on the verge of becoming more and more popular. And it's good to prepare yourself for them. There are definitely agencies that might help you with that. AI Ethicist also, nice. But I will now again switch to my presentation. And let's go back to this. So basically what this is going to require of us, if we are aware that these professions and the labor market will change, is the flexibility that you've also mentioned and the necessity for lifelong learning. Because in the ages of our fathers and grandfathers, to be a bit poetic, the career path was more like you go to school, study for a job, then you'll find a job and you'll do the job for the next 40 years before you retire. And it's not the same as in today's labor market when we switch jobs quite often. And again, some jobs disappear, some jobs reappear. And we need to be flexible in how we prepare ourselves for the job. So there is the need to constantly develop some key competencies. And as to what these are, I mean, there are quite a lot of them. And again, you've mentioned some of them. It is also something you might find under the 21st century skills. And these are skills like learning and innovation, with critical thinking, problem solving, communication, collaboration, creativity, innovation, but also digital literacy skills. We'll go back into that in a minute. And career and life skills. Also, some of those you have mentioned, like the need to be flexible and be able to communicate with people with different backgrounds, to be initiative and self-directed and kind of be able to take responsibility. So that's there. A little more on digital literacy. That's actually quite a nice point because it's not just about information literacy or about using computers. It's a little more. So yeah, it entails information literacy. That means the ability to seek, interpret, evaluate, and process information. It's got to do with the second point, which is media literacy. With today's media shifting from printed to online, there is a lot more space for people to create their own content. And there are a lot more media than there used to be like 40 years ago or so, before the computer era. And that also means that there is much more information and much more room for, let's call it bias, if not directly fake news. But not all of the information on the internet is true. Some of them has its own agenda to like kind of manipulate us to think maybe in a certain direction or to behave in a certain direction. So the ability to kind of critically examine and create media messages is a huge one, definitely. Not only as a creator, but also as a consumer of media and news articles. And it's a huge field on its own, so I won't go into details, but it is a part of digital literacy nowadays. Then there comes the technical literacy, which is just the knowledge and ability to use various digital tools to communicate, create, and share information. And with this, hand in hand goes the digital safety. Because the thing that a lot of people are troubled with is not that they just cannot like use the computer in terms of turn it on and just create a folder, create a document. I mean, if there are people who have trouble with this, you can take our course on basics of IT. But even that, digital safety means to know how to behave online to be safe. If it's about sending your private information to like unknown recipients via different forms, or paying for stuff online, buying stuff online, because not all e-shops, not all e-commerce providers are legitimate. Some of them might be a scam, so it's good to be aware of that. And we actually have a course on this as well. That's the cybersecurity course at our platform. And yeah, it's also about getting to know each other during social media, because if you had ever encountered either Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, you might get the impression that other people's lives are perfect. And that's actually part of the bias that the media creates, because we can be whoever we want in the digital space. And that's, on one hand, it's very encouraging and it's freeing in the sense that you can find a lot of friends online. You can even find your partner online. But on the other hand, you never know who is behind the screen on the other side. And therefore, sharing some information or pictures or videos might get quite dangerous. And it's good to be aware of the possible dangers that come with online communication. So definitely getting literacy in this area would be great for, I would say, anyone. And to that matter, let us try another platform. This time it's going to be Socrative. So I might try to post the link for you into chat. Let me just see whether this will be possible. I would have to stop sharing for a bit and then switch. But yeah, let me see. I will put this in chat for you and you can log in, or you can just, Google Socrative, and if it asks for a room name, it's LVIK. It's a shortage of my name and last name, but just to make it more accessible for yourself, there is the link in chat, and I will switch to, here, and see whether I have some responses in there. So there, again, some questions will be waiting for you, looking at your digital literacy skills. So feel free to answer the questions in here. Again, the room name is LIVK. I will also put it in chat for you. So let me just put in the chat. So this is the room name. And we'll just quickly go through the answers. It should be possible to answer right now. All right. If there's any trouble, don't hesitate to write me a message in chat or to say so. And okay, there's only 2 of us. So the responses are not as colorful as if we were like 20. Oh, 3 of us, cool. But still with Facebook and privacy settings, I swear there are people who don't know that this possibility even exists. And if they do, they might not really care. I see it's not your case. You try to check it either very carefully or at least try to check it from time to time, which it's very encouraging for me and for you as well. So let me switch. I'll just check how many of us is there. Okay, 10 tops, but I see 4 people signed up. So let me switch to my second question for you. This is whether you check the news or articles or messages that your friends and family and other people share on social media, no matter what kind of social media. And it might also be even like video posts, stuff like that. And I'm quite curious as to for the results. Always and sometimes. Cool, you seem to be quite responsible in your online behavior. Again, it's not the case for everyone. So it's good that you do that. But you might also have realized that it is sometimes quite time consuming. I mean, checking like every news article, every post is, it gets time consuming. Okay, another question. Would you say you can recognize fake news? This is probably going to be, okay, a quick one. All right. Thank you for the honesty. No matter which answer you have chosen, with the advances in artificial intelligence and with people who are paid to actually troll us with news, it gets difficult, and it goes together with the time and energy and also abilities invested in checking the media articles and social posts and stuff like that. So if you don't feel like not comfortable, but quite self-conscious in terms of you thinking that you are not so able to recognize fake news, don't worry. It's not just you, it's a lot more people. Although from our poll results, it doesn't look like that. And there are some nice tools to help you recognize fake news. I like the CRAP, which I'll just Google for a little while. Let's use, for example, this one. If you Google CRAP test, there is a nice video on that, and also like a little schematics on what to look for if you want to evaluate if something is or isn't fake news. So it's things like currency, relevance, who was the source of information, so authority, accuracy, and purpose. You can also download a presentation on that and spread the word, the evaluation checklist for like each media article, stuff like that. But I'll go back to my Socrative, and I have a few more questions for you in here. Whether you would say you can recognize paid promotion in social media. I'll just make a quick print screen. Righty. Okay, not all of you are confident that you could. And that's another thing with social media. Actually, I mean, responsible content creators, which is basically a new profession, as well as a YouTuber or an influencer. I mean, that didn't exist like 20 years ago. And everyone seems to want to be a YouTuber now. If you like ask the younger generation, I mean, not everyone, but they think it's an easy career, and it's definitely not. The people you see are the few ones that have succeeded, and they usually do some paid promotions. I mean, if they're socially responsible enough, they at least market as so. There are some logos you can put in on your posts. There is, I mean, definitely the possibility to say that this is a paid collaboration. And again, responsible social media creators do that and do it openly, but sometimes they also do it covertly without saying so. So basically, it's marketing. It's promoting somebody's project and saying stuff like, oh, I really like this brand and like this and this about the project, or just, you know, sometimes it's drinks, sometimes it's some pills, sometimes it's clothing brand, sometimes it's even like VPN services or mental health sites. And these might be per se quite nice services, but it's good to know whether the people are promoting them because they are getting paid for it, or if they are promoting them because they're genuinely like the product or the service. And it's not always easy. So also looking into that would take a while. So I have just the last question for you. And that is this one. That's about the younger generation and the older generation and digital technology. All right. These are interesting results. But actually, I would say a lot of people have the same beliefs as the majority of you, going into the directions that the younger generations are naturally, and here the word naturally is quite important, able to handle digital technology better than the older generation. For that, let me in a moment switch to my presentation. But before we get to this, because that's quite an interesting point, let me just introduce you a bit more to the Socrative platform, the one you're at right now. If I now put to finish this activity, it will ask me that I really want to finish. And again, this is a platform you can use for yourself and your presentations as well. You will see the reports. If you are allowed for names, there might be also names. I do this anonymously. So there are quite a lot of options of what you can do with Socrative. I kind of like this site. Again, in its free version, it's limited in terms of how many quizzes you can create. You can see in the free version, the maximum is 35 quizzes. There is also some limit on the amount of questions and people that can join in. But if you are used to teaching, the regular sized classes up to 50 people, this should be more than enough. There are different types of quizzes and questions you can use. I mean, there are not so many, but for like the majority of my teaching, it was enough. So you have the multiple choice option. You can also use pictures with the multiple choice questions. You have the true false options. Try this as well. And you have the short answer option. So if you don't want to be limited by the 2 slides with Mentimeter, you can just put everything in Socrative, and also had the possibility to let people write their own answers. It cannot do the nice word clouds as Mentimeter. That's why I like to combine the 2, but it's not as bad. And the other thing I liked about Socrative, as opposed to, for example, Kahoot, I'm not really sure whether you have met Kahoot. It's actually marked here as a video game. I wouldn't call it a video game. I would just call it a similar platform as Socrative. It would fall under like learning games. It's basically another way how to engage your students, how to be more interactive. So you can definitely do like the same types of questioning as in Socrative. You can do it in Kahoot, and it looks funnier. I mean, if you just look at the pictures, because I think I have a Kahoot account, but I don't use it that much, because for me, it's much more competitive. You have this, well, mostly it is the 4 options to an answer, basically with right and wrong answers, and it's timed, meaning that you will see the countdown and people have to respond correctly as well as quickly. And then you will see who was the quickest and who got the most points. And yeah, like this. And especially younger pupils, younger students like this very much because they like a little competition. But for myself, I don't see the point in like being quick, but being accurate. And that's why I rather use Socrative without the timing than Kahoot. But if you want to just quickly engage your audience and do a little fun voting, this is also an option. All right, I will switch back to the presentation and to the presenter mode. And I have promised you, there it is. I have promised you to look into whether the younger generation is actually naturally abler to use digital tools than the older generation. And for this, I will draw upon the article of Paul Kirchner and Pedro de Breker. I have always trouble pronouncing his name because he's from Holland, and it took me a while to learn his name correctly. But both of the guys actually produced not just this article, which you can find yourself, but also 2 excellent books on urban myths on learning and education. I love them very much because they are scientifically disproving a lot of myths about learning and education. For example, not only the digital natives myth, but also the myth about learning styles, that each of us has a different learning style, like auditive or visual or kinesthetic, or the myth about the learning pyramid, that we learn only a little if we just see things, a little bit more if we hear it also, and even more if we write it down. So there is a lot of myths going on about education, and a lot of them are disproved, and these books are excellent at doing this. But going back to the digital natives and digital immigrants, in case you weren't familiar with those terms, digital natives are usually thought of as people born before 1980s, and digital immigrants are people born after 1980s. there might be some cultural differences because it has to do with the widespread of computers in common households, which were more common in the Western countries earlier than, for example, here in the Czech Republic. So in the Czech Republic, I would say digital natives are people born after 1990, roughly, and digital immigrants are the earlier generation, older generation. But the point is, we are not born with the ability to handle media and digital technology better by ourselves just because we were born later in the span of the years. But it's because the amount of time we spent on them and the age that we first encounter the technology. And for that, let me share a discussion that I had with my mother when I tried to understand why she needs me to install her new programs or to look something up for her on the internet, when I was telling her, well, I mean, you can search for it yourself. You know how to open the browser. You can just type in the same words, or you can just, download it, and you will be clicking at the same buttons I am, like next, 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 and finished. And somehow she keeps thinking that when I do it better, or I understand it more. And we came during the discussion to the conclusion that, okay, it might have to do something with the language barrier if the instructions are in English, but also about the general feelings about technology that the older generations might have. Because what she explained to me was that when she first encountered a computer, she was about 30 years old. It was during her work, and she was introduced to the computer in a way that, okay, this is a brand new, shiny, expensive machine. Not many people know how to work with it. Even less people know how to repair it. Please don't break it. And if you're introduced to a technology with these words, you, of course, tend to be more careful with it, as opposed to an infant who, you just give a phone and he or she taps all over it and just see what it does if you tap on this button, or what does it do if you click on that. And, just this approach that you either do or do not try the things on the technology and see what happens because you're not scared that it breaks down. It's usually not your problem, but one of the adults. It gives you a lot more freedom to experiment with the technology. And therefore also I wouldn't say deeper, but a wider experience and a bit wider understanding of the technology. So you might afterwards look like you can do better with it, but even then, there are still some limits to this depth of your knowledge, because, even people who played with phones and tablets and notebooks from early on, they are usually quite passive. They are more like consumers of the content. They're able to find things out, yes. They might be able to, play with the setup of some things. They might be able to create, for example, presentations or Word documents. They are usually not so proficient in Microsoft Excel because nobody as a child plays with Excel. It just requires more skills, and it's not as intuitive than just, drag and drop files or play with the filter on Instagram and stuff like that. So, it's not like we are born with it, but we encounter it at an earlier age, and we are not afraid to experiment with the technology. We, meaning the digital natives or the younger generation. But it doesn't even make us proficient in using it, because our usage is still limited and we still might not be aware of the workings of the technology. I mean, not every young person is able to develop mobile apps. There are quite a lot of those who can, but definitely not everyone. And not all of us are aware of the dangers of the internet, as stated again within the cybersecurity course, or just with the online safety and getting to know each other through the internet. part. So it's not about age. Everyone can learn. And I deeply encourage you to learn about this stuff and get more proficient in digital literacy, because that's going to be one of the skills really needed. And if we don't learn it as the older generation, then how can we teach it to the kids? And if we just leave it to themselves, they will again be limited and not aware of all of the things they should be aware of. So we still need a guidance, and not just count on, oh, they will learn by themselves. They won't, not everyone. So yeah, there is hope for the oldest of us. And I mean, even your grandmother can learn how to use a computer. But how? That's the question. And an interesting principle is through gamification, which means basically the use of gaming principles within learning. And this is a way how to engage not only the younger generation, but I think even the older one. And on that, because I think we are very well with time on that, I will share with you John Hattie's talk on TEDx. And John Hattie is a huge expert on education. He did a lot of research, a lot of meta-analysis of scientific pieces of evidence of what works and doesn't work in education. And in this TED Talk, he also shares some ideas about how schools could improve if we used more gamification within the classroom environment. So again, I will switch to the website and I will switch to John Hattie's video and mute myself.
Given what you often hear in the media from politicians and often from many parents, it can't be that bad out there in classroom land. Certainly if I ask you to think about the teachers that had a positive, profound effect on you, can you think of them? For me, it was Mr. Tomlinson, it was Mr. O'Neill, it was Rod McDonald. And if you actually look at what those people, what the attributes of those teachers were, it's often because they had a passion that they wanted you to share about what they loved the most. Or sometimes it was because they saw something in you that you didn't see in yourself. Folks, the fact that you can think of some of those teachers, there is expertise out there in our business. There is a lot of that kind of expertise that's going out. But at the moment, our politicians, our voters are saying, we have a problem. We have to fix those teachers. We have to come up with teacher-proof ways so kids can learn. We have to find ways in which we can use carrots and sticks and performance pay and all these kind of things. Well, in one sense, the focus on teachers is right. Certainly the work I've been doing, many others, is that the biggest source of variance in our business that we have control over are the teachers. On the other hand, we have to be very careful that we don't misuse that information and then focus on individual teachers as if the system is bad, they need to be fixed. And my talk today is about identifying, the need to identify that expertise, the need to acknowledge that it's out there, the need to esteem and privilege it, and the need to certainly find out and understand that notion of expertise. We have a strange profession, and that unlike many other professions like medicine, engineering, and painting and paper hanging, in our profession, when people first start off, we expect them to be experts. The first year teacher, actually they expect to be rated outstanding in their first year. And in many ways, we see them as similar to 20-year-old veterans. If you look at other professions, like medicine, they start with the registration years. They have practices. They call it the practice of medicine. Painter and paper hangers, they go through an apprenticeship. And they have a series of steps before they get there. And I think that's the kind of thing that we need to think about in our profession. Now, certainly what I've been doing is trying to say, can we take all the studies that we know of in our business, and certainly there are many, and see what's up this end in terms of what influences student achievement? What's the zero things? What makes no difference at all? And what things decrease achievement? And what I've been doing for the last 25 years is squirreling it away and collecting data. I have close to 250 million students in the database to try and say, if I could take all the influences from the home, from the family, from the principal, from the schools, from the finance, from the policies, from the curriculum, from the teacher, from the strategies, I've got them all. And I churn them all around. And I say, well, what's the effect? Well, I get a distribution like this. Now you can see here the 0 point, the red zone. This is the kind of influences which negatively affect achievement. Now here's the good news. There's not much we do to kids that harm them. 95 to 98% of things that we do in the name of enhancing achievement does enhance achievement. All you need to enhance achievement is a pulse. And so when politicians and parents and everyone gets up and says, we know how to fix schools, they're right. If they say they can improve achievement, because everybody can. And that's one of our problems of our profession, is we have lowered the base so far to say, can we improve achievement? The teacher who comes and says, look, this is the performance of the kids at the start of the year, this is their performance of later at the end of the year. To me, they're criminal. We need to get rid of those teachers, because everybody can do it. But obviously you can see this average, which I want to talk about today, this 0.4. Now the number's not critical, the relativity is. Because what I want to find out is, what are the common story about what's up there in that green zone compared to what's in that yellow zone? And I'm sure every one of you here that's listening and watching who has a child in the school, if I said to you, do you want your child in a school of a teacher that has a systematic impact in the green zone or the yellow zone, it's easy. Yeah? All right. So let's start and look at some of the effects. And I want to start with looking at structural things. And I'm going to suggest to you that many of the things on this list dominate our debates about education. We have to give more money. We have to fix the class size. We have to do ability grouping. We have to come up with different kinds of schools and charter schools, yeah? So what do you think the effect of those are? Do you think they're going to be above the 0.4 or below the 0.4? I've got 200 different things, so where would they rank? Well, I can't find a single structural effect that's greater than 0.4. The majority of things that we debate in education don't matter much. And I say we because I include teachers in that along with the rest of us. The structural things, yeah, we need to get them right. But in terms of the hierarchy of this business, nah. So what about these ones? What about some attributes of the students? We all know that if only schools had the right students, life would be easy. So you can see some of the attributes up there. So what do you think their effects are? Greater than 0.4 or less than 0.4? Does it matter who the kids are? No. What works in our business works for most kids, if not all kids. It's very hard to find differences. What about programs? Now I say here deliberately deep programs because this is what you hear all the time. You've got to have problem solving. You've got to have deep thinking. You've got to have individualized instruction. You've got to have problem-based learning. You've got to match kids' learning styles with their teaching. So what do you think? No. They don't matter. And I want you to remember this because I'm going to come back to this in a moment. Technology. Oh, come on. All we need to have is laptops and technology, and then things will be marvelous. Now, you know the answer, don't you? No. And the interesting thing about technology is that we've been doing these researches now for almost 40 to 50 years asking the impact of technology. And the common claim is, but wait, the technology revolution, it's coming upon us. This new thing is going to come out, this new app, this new internet, whatever. Well, for the last 40 to 50 years, that effect size has not changed. Technology is the revolution that's been coming for 35 years. And it's not here yet. Okay. These are the kind of things that I would argue are the politics of distraction. The kind of things that we talk about in our business so often, which means we avoid addressing what really matters in schools. And I get so frustrated when you read the media, when you listen to the debates, everywhere, in classrooms, in staff rooms, in professional development sessions, particularly in the media, particularly amongst our politicians, they want to solve these things. Why? Well, one reason, simple. You can see a lot of these things. You're not going to be able to see easily what's on the other side of the equation. And so one of my missions in this TED Talk today is, can we, when we hear these kind of discussions, ask those people to go into another room so we can talk about what really matters? Let's get to the good story. Now, the first thing with those numbers, you can see, they're dramatically different. And my point is that the biggest effect in our business is expertise of the teachers. It's the teachers who work together. I'll say that again. Teachers who work together, collectively, collaboratively, to understand their impact. And that's probably the biggest single most factor in this business, that teachers and principals and systems that go into classrooms, that go into schools, that go into systems who say, my job is to understand my impact, are the ones that have the biggest effect. Not the teachers who say, my job's to cover the curriculum, my job's to get kids through the exams. It's teachers who say, I want to understand my impact. Now, it begs the moral purpose question. What is impact? And that's a really critical question. And it's not just scores on tests. One of the things that I think is critical is, how do we get kids to reinvest in this business called learning, so they want to do more of it? And certainly if you look at the evidence of what's the best predictor of health, wealth, and happiness in adult life, it's not achievement at school. It's more than years of schooling. So how can our schoolings be inviting places to get kids to come back to? That's a really critical part of knowing thy impact. It is understanding very clearly in every lesson and every day what the student knows already. Because that's the starting point to then say, now we need to know what success looks like. So you don't go in there and just create a set of interesting materials and hope every kid has some point of starting point. Knowing deeply where a kid starts. But it's also showing the students up front what success looks like as they're beginning this task. Can you imagine if I said to you, now I'm going to take you out and I'm going to play this game. I'm going to ask you to play this game, but I'm not going to tell you the rules. Now, some of you would sit on the sidelines. Some of you actually might get in there and try the game. But you can imagine chaos wouldn't long be out of the picture, and certainly many of you would start to drift away from it. Well, some of our kids in our schools love playing that game. They'll do anything we ask them to do. But there is a large group of students out there, the ones that often question, the ones that we often call sometimes the naughty kids, because they don't play the game we want them to do. The more you can show them what success looks like as they're starting. It's a bit like a video game. If those of you like me who have been through the Angry Birds fetish, it knows exactly what your prior achievement is, your last score. It then sets a target, a goal, a success, kind of using the Goldilocks principle, not too hard, not too easy. And then it piles in feedback and information and gives you multiple tries, a lot of deliberate practice you put into it to reduce that gap. And then what happens? They increase the standard, and they increase the success. And you want to reinvest and reinvent. It's no different in our schooling, except the critical difference is that so often in our schools, the students don't know what success looks like in the series of lessons. Errors, mistakes. Hey, what's the point of going to school if you know it already? The reason you go to learning is because you don't know. And not knowing is an incredible opportunity. And how can we get our schools and our classrooms to create climates with a lot of trust so that it's okay to make mistakes and errors? Maximizing feedback to teachers. How can we get teachers to get feedback about their impact? That's the point of assessment in schools, to help teachers understand their impact. And I mentioned before about those deep programs. Well, look here, simple. If you want to think, you have to have something to think about. It's the proportion of knowing lots of stuff and then moving on to relate and extend those ideas. And if you're learning something for the first time here today, you need a lot of surface detail before I can get you then to start thinking of connections. It's that proportion. And it's knowing when, as a teacher, to move from knowing stuff to relating that stuff is the key. And it's that Goldilocks principle of challenge. Not too hard, not too easy. And then asking the students, teaching them the learning strategy so they can deliberately practice with a lot of coaching from us as teachers to reduce that gap from where they are to where they want to be. And certainly my message here today is it's this notion of expertise that's incredibly powerful in this business. Now today, we're in Sweden. In the PISA rankings, you rank in the top 10 to 20 in the world. That means there's 150 behind you. My estimate here in this country, using the kind of data that I have, is I would estimate around 50 to 60% at least of your teachers are having the kind of impact in that zone I was talking about before. And so how can we acknowledge this kind of expertise that's around us? How can we build that coalition of the willing and of the successful to help run and have a major say in our schools? How can we get a ladder of excellence in our business? How can we get away from this notion that unfortunately is common throughout education and that all teachers are equal? Now, you know that's not true. Every student knows that's not true. Every teacher knows that's not true. But our business is already premised at the moment on this notion that that ladder is flat, that the 1 year out teacher and the 20 year out teacher. Now, I can assure you that expertise is not highly correlated with years of experience. So it's not just years of experience I'm talking about. And how can we get teachers on this right? Now, in other professions, go back to our doctors, our engineers, and our painter and paper hangers, they start at the bottom. Now, we don't say when we go to a doctor who's reasonably new that they're no good. There are minimum standards. They have to do and agree to do no harm. In the same way that many of our brand new teachers are passing that minimum standard, and many of those brand new teachers have an enthusiasm and new ideas that gives them a hang of a good advance compared to many others. And how can we get, like in other professions, some steps in our ladder so that we constantly ask, what is the impact you're having? How do you demonstrate the impact you're having? And as you do that and convince the profession of teachers, we can then advance up that ladder. And then when we get to teachers who are near the top of that ladder, we get them more involved in giving back to their profession and being involved in helping others up that ladder and setting the standards of excellence and trying to find ways in which we can convince our community that we do have a lot of excellence in our business, but not everybody's excellent on day one. And so my message here in this TED Talk today is that in the profession of teaching, we have an inconsiderable amount of expertise. Bring on the debate about expertise in teachers. There are so many of those teachers who can participate and have a say in that debate. Thank you.
All right. So that is actually one of my favorite videos on YouTube. One of many I find kind of inspirational. And although it deals with like education in general, so maybe like high school or elementary school education, I think it can apply to all types of education. And again, let me switch to my PowerPoint to just, point out some of the things that are dealing with the technology that John Hattie has mentioned in this video. And that is the necessity for learning to set clear goals and to like even show examples how the good work looks like. Because if you don't know what the goal is, what you're striving for, then it's harder to get there. Definitely harder to get there, but easier to get lost on the path. And sometimes we do forget it. For example, did you notice I didn't tell you the goal of today's lecture? I didn't even show you the contents. Did you mind? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But if I did that, instead of just, diving right in, you might have a much more clear overview as to what the point of today is. So just as a spoiler, to just let you think about some of the ways how people can learn as well and the platforms they can use for that. But, you know, setting clear goals is at the top of things. Then there is the practice without being punished for practice, because I'm not really sure how about in like different countries, but from what I've experienced in the Czech Republic, but also in some of its neighbors, it's usually in schools, the situation is that you get punished for making mistakes. You can call these punishments however you like. We mostly call it grading. And I mean, the idea behind grading wasn't bad in its own. It was to, well, kind of differentiate how well are people mastering some types of content, but it got screwed up somewhere in between the journey. And nowadays, it has to function, or it wants to function like a system of rewards and punishments. Rewards in the terms of, okay, try harder, do that, you will be rewarded. Punishments in terms of, well, if you don't try hard enough, you will get a bad grade. And that makes people scared. And it doesn't make them want to make more mistakes. And if they don't make more mistakes, they actually don't practice anymore. So practice is a huge milestone on achieving anything. And we shouldn't punish people for practicing. And that's basically what games do. They don't punish you if you practice. You have like the trials, you have, you know, in every video game, before it starts, you have the walkthrough. And that's something that also helps. It also helps if people practice at their own pace. And again, video games usually don't push you to like everyone be at the same speed, but go through it as fast as you want to. And you can rewind and go back to some things and review it back. And that helps so much in learning. As well as another stuff that video games do, and usual teachers often don't, is giving immediate feedback. Not just in terms of points, but also in terms of you can immediately see whether you succeeded in a specific task or not. You can also have like hints usually contained in the game, like maybe try this or maybe try having that. I mean, sometimes they are called cheats, but still it kind of helps you get through the game. And I mean, in this context, no wonder that our students also look for cheats in their real life, because their ultimate goal might be to, you know, get to the final round, get to the point, beat the boss, so to say, or acquire knowledge. So feedback is very, very important in this process. Offer help if needed. I also tapped into that. And the challenges that John Hattie was talking about. And the challenges have to be appropriate to the level you're at, because if the challenge is too high, too big, people will be discouraged from taking it. And if the bar is set too low, they won't find it as a challenge. And again, they won't want to participate in the game. And gradually increasing the challenge based on your progress is another thing that keeps you going. And we don't always do, I mean, we don't do it as much as we could. So yeah, let people level up and let them see what their progress is, and let them maybe even set their own goals for their next level and just offer help for them to get there. There would be many more principles, but I think these are the like basic ones that we can take away from video games that would be very helpful in like everyday learning. Where to see that in practice? I mean, you can encounter these principles even nowadays in the so-called massive open online courses, which are offered by platforms like Khan Academy, Coursera, edX, Udacity. In a lesser content, I mean, you see that in like YouTube videos. These are another platforms you can learn from, or our own one, the educateme.eu. And just to, you know, for it not to stay here on my presentation, let me just show how they look like without signing in. But yeah, just look into that and look at how Khan Academy looks like. So there are a lot of courses you can take suitable for like small kids to teenagers to, you know, university and graduate level. So you can not only change like the course you want to take, you have basically unlimited option to choose from, not just in the content, but also in the difficulty. So there are even, you know, life skills, AI for education, financial literacy, internet safety, nice stuff. Science. I mean, you'll see these are like the most popular ones, but if you sign up for Khan Academy, you will see basically the same principles we were just talking about. Some courses are free. Some of the features are, again, better if you pay for the courses, but definitely try it out. For those of you who speak Czech, there is a Czech version of Khan Academy, either by adding a CS here at the beginning, or by going to khanovascola.cz. Quite nice as a learning resource. And for example, for our psychology teachers, but students, I recommend the statistics course in there. I mean, it's so useful. It's quite nice. Not that our teachers don't have a lot of resources, but if you really want to go at your own pace and have everything explained in a ton of videos and the point system to see your progress, it's excellent. You can also find a course on Coursera. Here you will find basically world universities offering some of their courses online, either pro bono, meaning they're not paid if you don't want a certificate out of it. But of course, if you want a certificate out of it, you will be required to pay. But in my opinion, if you really want to like get proficient in a field of study, this is a nice start and a nice way how to spend your money. So there are also some blog tips on other things regarding education. These are the news on Coursera, but there is a ton of different courses you can take. And as said, a lot of them are free. So feel free to browse it for yourself. A similar platform is edX, again, offering courses from world-renowned universities, or the Udacity. Similar idea, just, you know, different layout, different concepts, sorted into levels and the durations that it will take you to take the course, usually, I mean, on average. So feel free to go through them or to sign up to our own platform, the educateme.eu, which I have introduced earlier today, and you can definitely look it up for yourself. It's free. It contains 10 courses on like communication skills, active listening, basics of IT, basics of English, how to look for a job via internet and the skills needed in labor market, how to be a good e-citizen and how to get around with cybersecurity, but also project thinking and the development of non-institutional social services. So these would be the courses that are now present on our platform in 5 different languages. So if we just go one step back, you can also select the language you want to go through the courses and through the platform. So that would be that, and I'll switch back to my PowerPoint. So yeah, you can also go for educational games. There are many more than Minecraft EDU, but a lot of people know Minecraft and they don't know it has an educational aspect to it, which it does. It started with actually a university chemistry teachers who thought, oh, you can build a lot of things in Minecraft. Why not teach people chemistry in there? Because if something goes boom in the computer, it's not as harmful as if they do the experiments on their own. So a lot of educational games and other resources to see that. Also, you know, just to stay up to date, look for classes that are not just passive, but that implement some modern approaches to learning. And I think 2 quite interesting concepts when it comes to education for me is first, the blended learning, which is the combination of like standard classical face-to-face teaching with the e-learning. You can find more on blended learning even on sites like Wikipedia. So I deeply encourage you to look for that on your own. You would also have to differentiate between synchronous communication, which is the time that we will spend like one-on-one at the same time, and that is best for exchanging ideas and working on something together and promoting interaction, whereas the asynchronous communication might be more suitable for completing some tasks on your own and submitting them to a portal or a teacher or whomever, and wait a little bit longer for the feedback. But you can also use, listening or reading at your own pace as a type of like synchronous communication. And this principle is nicely bound and combined within the so-called flipped classroom, which, the general idea of school is like you listen to lectures in school and then you have some homework activities. But what if it was different? And that's exactly what the flipped classroom does. You listen to the lecture at home. So you have like pre-recorded videos or other materials, and you go through them at home at your own pace. You can rewind them and review them as much as you like and as many times as you like. And then in the classroom, you actually focus on activities that are harder to do just by yourself at your home, which are mainly group things, group activities. And the use of time in this way might be much better than just, having a full lecture room of people listening to yourself, maybe not even listening and doing something completely different, and then leaving them on their own to deal with the stuff. So for me, the flipped classroom is quite a nice idea how to engage people more in learning, how to make better use of learning from each other in the groups and so forth. And yeah, my final platform to introduce you to today is, the best would be if you use the QR code in here, but I can also copy the link in the chat as well. It's Google Jamboard, which is something like a digital whiteboard that allows you to work remotely or in person in collaboration with other people. All you need if you want to create one is a Google account, but as a guest, I don't think you even need that. And I have prepared a small tasks for you in there. But looking at the time and the amount of people that are here, which are not very many, I will just switch from this and I will copy the link if you would really like to take part in that to the chat if you haven't used the QR code yet. So there is my chat. You can join in and I will share my screen with you. So with Google Jamboard, you can create like multiple jams. I think we can either share the ideas that help you with learning. You can do it either by adding a text field and write, like, making notes, or something I like more are these post-its. You just click on them, select the color. This makes a post, and you can also edit the content. I have it in check. I'm sorry, because my default is there, but it's just like underlined. So you can try this on your own, but you can also go for some of the other Jamboards. And I would be quite happy if you are still here, if you're still with me, if you could, for example, leave your feedback here for today's workshop or even for the whole conference, if you've been here for the whole time. And I will keep it there. It stays there unless you, erase it. And yeah, just to kind of try out the platform, I would really appreciate your feedback in here.
Could you please show the QR code once more?
Yeah, I will show the QR code once more. There it is. I will make it bigger, hopefully at least a little bigger. Does it work?
Yeah, thank you.
Cool, cool. And if you're connected online, the link is in the chat. And yeah, I mean, you can even draw. You can use the pen and draw on your with yourself. But I always found it difficult to manage the drawings. So for me, the post-it notes are the best. But you can also just use the text field to do that. And the best thing about Google Jamboard is really many people can collaborate here at once, synchronously, meaning at the same time. And it makes it quite easy to see at the same time. So I'll just give you a minute to leave your feedback there. If you're doing it for the first time, it gets a little time to get acquainted with it. But yeah, cool. Oh, mind mapping is something that helped you with learning. Cool. Okay, you can move it around if you drag and drop it. Cool. Thank you. Thank you for going through the tips. I assume there will be a recording of today's workshop on the platform's website. I would need to talk to our colleagues on where and how to put it in there. We also have a YouTube channel with the Educate Me platform, so it's going to be there. And if you so wish, you can write me an email on, we'll put it here, at upol.cz, and I could definitely send you my presentation with all the links and tips as well. Maybe give me some time to respond. I would still need to manage a few things regarding the project, but definitely don't hesitate to write me an email should you want to learn more about learning. Thank you for your feedback. So you can keep leaving your feedback there. It's going to be open. You have the link now. So let me just thank you for being here today. And for this, the last time, I'm going to switch to my presentation. A lot of switching today. So thank you. This was all for me today. And also for the conference. If you stayed here for the whole time, thank you for staying with us from 9 o'clock in the morning up until now. And I hope I will see you on our educateme.eu platform or on some other occasion which considers learning and employment and stuff like that. So feel free to log off if you wish. Feel free to leave me a feedback there. And thank you for being here.